We have a really wonderful commencement speaker. She is a very, very esteemed and distinguished daughter of a personal friend of mine, really wonderful imam from Philadelphia. And this is Sister Raheemah Abdulaleem. She serves as special assistant to the President of the United States. She's in the White House. She's a general counsel in the Office of Administration at the White House. She's also the chief legal advisor in the executive office. Prior to that, she served as a senior trial lawyer for Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Justice, as well as an attorney for 2 nationally recognized law firms. She is a member of the National Association of Muslim Lawyers and the Capital Area Muslim Bar Association. She serves as a board chairman and director at Karama, a nonprofit organization of Muslim women lawyers for human rights. Sister Raheemah graduated from 2 very distinguished American institutions. She did her undergraduate at Yale, and then she did her law degree at Harvard. But she chose a path that I think more of us need to think about seriously as Muslims, and that's the path of public service. It's one of the highest things that you can do is serve your society, and she's chosen that path. She could have been a very wealthy, successful corporate lawyer, but she chose actually the arduous path of being a public servant. So let's welcome Raheemah Abdulaleem.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Assalamu alaikum. I greet you with the Arabic greeting meaning peace be upon you. So before I get started, I have a bit of housekeeping, a statement that I have to make for work. So the views I express here are my personal views and do not necessarily represent the views of the Office of Administration or the Executive Office of the President. So now, let's get back to business. So as I reviewed the invitation to today's commencement ceremony, it read, Inshallah, this will be a gathering of remembrance, gratitude, and lifelong lessons. And then I thought, wow, no pressure. So congratulations to the 2023 graduates of Zaytuna College, your parents and friends. This year represents an important milestone for Zaytuna College. It is conferring degrees to its 10th class receiving Bachelor's of Arts degrees, and its 4th class earning Master's of Arts degrees. So congratulations to all of you. As I look out on the graduates here today, I would like to congratulate you on your accomplishments. You all are quite impressive. From Malaysia to Maryland, from Granada Hills, California to Humble, Texas, from Ireland to Dublin, California. The class of 2023, you represent the diversity of the Muslim world, but not only in terms of geographic diversity. I'm also speaking of racial diversity, economic diversity, and ethnic diversity. You also represent a diversity of thought. This was evident in your insightful and thoughtful thesis topics. You see, I still do some research before I come speak. I saw that some of those topics included the believer's guide to the horizons, an Islamic framework for weather phenomena, to rebuilding the bedrock, contemporary Muslim legal scholars' engagements with capitalism, to analysis methodology for producing fatwas regarding COVID vaccines, and usuli and maqasidi perspective. Your thoughtful scholarship embodies the mission of Zaytuna College, which is to educate and prepare morally committed, professional, intellectual, and spiritual leaders who are grounded in the Islamic scholarly tradition and conversant with the cultural currents and critical ideas shaping modern society. As you leave here today and embark on the next chapter of your professional and personal lives, remember what you have received through your time here at Zaytuna and the importance of remaining true to its mission, which is to be grounded in the Islamic scholarly tradition and conversant with what is going on in the world around us. As you leave here today, remember to bring your whole selves, your unique Muslim identities, to every profession and every job that you may hold, whether here in America or abroad. Bringing the Muslim perspective to every arena is vitally important. You see, this is a lesson that my parents instilled in me at a very young age. As Sheikh Hamza mentioned, my father is an imam in Philadelphia, and my parents both taught in public school there. We learned early on that our unique perspective was needed and valued. It wasn't something that was merely to be tolerated. It was vital to our community, our country, and this world. Because we aren't just concerned about the condition of other Muslims. We are concerned about all of humanity and committed to living a life in service to all people. You see, today I am here, the descendant of enslaved Africans. It was over 400 years ago that enslaved Africans began being brought to our shores. Among those enslaved were Muslims, who, despite the horrors imposed upon them, worked hard to maintain their faith. Their prayers, their fortitude, and their faith have allowed me to be here today, an embodiment of the hopes and dreams of the enslaved. But you see, despite the fact that my ancestors have been present in this country for generations, I recall a time when I was walking to work in DC, and my presence was questioned. I vividly recall exiting the metro, excitedly walking to my job at the Department of Justice, where someone yelled at me, "Go back where you came from." And I looked around puzzled, and the person yelled at me again, "Go back where you came from." I thought, who is he yelling at? He can't possibly be talking to me. Go back. How many of you have ever heard something like that? Go back where you came from. How many of you have ever been asked, "Where are you from?" You give an answer, and they say, no, really, where are you from? How many of you have ever heard, "Wow, your name doesn't sound American"? You see, as a Black American Muslim, I was raised to be proud of my Black American and Muslim identities. You see, I am part of a long line of Muslims who have worked to hold this country to its highest ideals. I recall reading an article by Nicole Hannah-Jones recently, where she shared that Black Americans have been and continue to be foundational to the idea of American freedom. More than any other group in this nation's history, we have served generation after generation in an overlooked but vital role. It is we who have been the perfecters of this democracy. When I read that quote, it spoke to me as a Muslim. You see, my parents always stressed the importance of holding our country to its democratic principles, even when it fell short. They told us that we were uniquely qualified to understand, through our country's history, that though it didn't always live up to its stated ideals, we were committed to doing our share and working to make this country better, bringing our Muslim identity to every endeavor, stressing the importance of justice, fairness, and equity in all of our dealings. You know, as Sheikh Hamza mentioned during his talk, I attended Harvard Law School, and every year I go back there to teach for a week in a trial advocacy workshop. And when I went there, I saw on the words of justice exhibit, which is on the walls. So let me tell you about this exhibit. In 2012, Harvard Law School decided to install this Words of Justice exhibit prominently on the walls of the law school. And the dean at that time wrote in the introduction to the exhibit how the words on these walls affirm the power and irrepressibility of the idea of justice. They give testimony to the endurance of humanity's yearning for fairness and dignity through law. There are 33 quotes printed on the walls. You may be thinking, how is this relevant? Well, I'll tell you, one of those 33 quotes is from the Holy Quran. Surah Nisa, Surah 4, verse 135. On the walls of the Harvard Law School, it reads, "O ye who believe, stand out firmly for justice as witnesses to Allah, even as against yourselves or your parents or your kin, and whether it be against rich or poor, for Allah can best protect both." So you see, other communities have also recognized the importance and critical importance of the words of justice that we have all been exposed to through our holy book, the Quran. Growing up, my parents instilled in me that we are Americans who are Muslim by choice. They stressed that our Muslim identity would help inform and shape our American identity. We were taught to be proud of our identity while recognizing the universality of the message of Islam and the importance of working for the betterment of all humanity. This is a message that Muhammad Ali, may Allah forgive his sins and grant him paradise, embodied. He showed the world that it was possible to be unapologetically Muslim while also making sure to be committed to all of humanity. And when he passed, my friend Khalid Beydoun, who's a noted author and professor, remarked that Ali lifted the heads of Black people everywhere, Muslims everywhere, underdogs and marginalized people the world over with his unrivaled charisma, courage, and God-given ability to transcend the bounds of boxing and politics, race and religion. This is a message that it is so important for each of you to take as you leave here today. You see, you remember that story I told you earlier about what happened when I was walking to work that day? I could have let that derail me. I could have begun to question whether I did belong, but I didn't. I remembered those lessons from my youth. I remembered those lessons from my community members and lessons from my parents and leaders like Muhammad Ali, who stressed that we belonged. We all belong, and we all have a unique story and perspective to share. So you all may encounter people along the way who may try to detract you or derail you, but don't let anyone take you from the path that you are on. Don't let anyone make you question whether you belong. Be proud of your identities. Continue the work of being in service to all of humanity. And in doing so, let us remember the legacy of the countless Muslims who have paved the way for me and who have paved the way for each of you, who were unapologetic in embracing their Muslim identity, who stressed the importance of being proud of who they were and the important contributions they had to offer in all fields, and who let the world see and learn about the universal message of Islam and its commitment to being concerned for all of humanity. You see, every day, I take these important lessons with me as I enter the White House complex. I enter as a proud Muslim woman from Philadelphia, a former civil rights attorney at the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. And now when I introduce myself to people, I introduce myself and say, good morning. I am Raheemah Abdulaleem, Special Assistant to the President and General Counsel in the Executive Office of the President, Office of Administration. I pray this commencement will be one of remembrance, gratitude, and lifelong lessons for you. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you.